The champagne flute shattered against Murphy's bar floor, crystal fragments catching amber light like pieces of a broken life. Marcus Sterling didn't flinch. He'd heard worse things break tonight. His relationship, his facade, his faith in people changing. Tyler Brooks smiled with cruel satisfaction only an ex-lover could perfect. His new boyfriend wrapped possessive arms around his waist, both drunk on expensive scotch and humiliation's power. They'd cornered Marcus near the back wall, shadows gathering like witnesses. "Still playing corporate games, Marcus?" Tyler's voice carried across the crowded Manhattan bar. "Still pretending you're someone you're not?" Marcus felt familiar chest tightness following him from Chicago's financial district to New York's advertising world. At 35, he'd built Sterling Creative from nothing into Manhattan's most sought-after agency. But Tyler made achievements feel like elaborate lies. The bar pulsed around them, Friday night energy mixing with expensive cologne and desperation. Wall Street types loosened ties. Creative professionals nursed craft cocktails. Everyone pretending their lives were exactly what they wanted. "You remember Ethan Walker?" Tyler gestured toward a corner table where a young man sat alone, nursing beer. "Sweet kid. Too bad he's exactly the type you're scared to be seen with." Marcus's eyes followed the gesture. Ethan Walker, 27, with Irish Catholic bone structure and quiet intensity. Marcus noticed him around the agency. Senior creative strategist, brilliant mind, dangerous smile. "I told him about your arrangement with Daddy Sterling in Chicago." Tyler continued, "How you're still the obedient son, playing straight for board meetings, still waiting for permission to live." Words hit like physical blows. Marcus's father Heinrich had built their German-American dynasty on tradition, control, expectations that came with trust funds. Coming out threatened everything Sterling represented. Marcus caught Ethan's eye across the bar. Something passed between them. Recognition beyond casual workplace acknowledgement. Ethan had been watching, had probably heard everything. Tyler leaned closer. "You know what's funny? He thinks you're worth saving. Poor kid doesn't know you've never saved anyone, not even yourself." That's when Marcus made the decision, changing everything. Instead of walking away, instead of retreating into safe silence, he straightened his shoulders and walked directly toward Ethan Walker's table. Ethan looked up as Marcus approached, green eyes reflecting something that might have been hope. "Mind if I join you?" Marcus asked. "Please," Ethan said simply, gesturing to the empty chair. "You look like you could use a friend." Marcus sat down, aware Tyler was watching, that half the agency's Friday night crowd would have opinions by Monday morning. But for the first time in months, he didn't care. He cared about how Ethan's presence felt like solid ground. "I heard what he said," Ethan spoke quietly. "About Chicago, about your father." Marcus expected pity. Instead, he found understanding. "My family had their own version of that conversation," Ethan continued. "Irish Catholic, Boston. You can imagine, but..." Bar noise faded as Marcus realized he sat across from someone understanding the weight of carrying family expectations while trying to breathe as yourself. "I've been watching you," Marcus admitted. "At the office, how you handle difficult clients, make everyone better. You have something I've forgotten." "What's that?" "The ability to be yourself without apology." They talked until the bar's closing, sharing stories neither had told before. About families loving conditionally. About careers shadowed by secrecy. About exhaustion of living multiple lives. When they stepped onto the sidewalk, October air sharp with winter, Marcus felt something shifting. Not just attraction, something deeper. Recognition, hope, the possibility that he might not choose between success and authenticity. "Walk me to the subway?" Ethan asked. Marcus nodded, falling into step. Their hand brushed, navigating crowds, and neither pulled away. At the subway entrance, Ethan turned to face him. "Whatever happens next, you don't have to do it alone." Marcus watched him disappear downstairs, then stood listening to the city breathe. For the first time in years, The future felt like something other than performance. It felt like possibility. Sometimes courage looks less like grand gestures and more like sitting at someone's table when you could have walked away. Follow Heart Stories for more authentic love stories. Monday morning arrived with crisp November air that made Manhattan feel electric with possibility. Marcus Sterling sat in his corner office, watching the city wake up 30 floors below, but his mind kept drifting to green eyes and quiet understanding, to hands that had brushed his without pulling away. The weekend had stretched endlessly. He'd found himself checking his phone each time, drafting texts to Ethan Walker that he never sent. Professional boundaries, he reminded himself, except nothing about Friday night had felt professional. A knock interrupted his thoughts. "Come in?" Ethan stepped through the doorway, and Marcus felt that same chest-tightening sensation, but softer this time. Less panic, more recognition. "Morning," Ethan said, holding a steaming coffee cup and a folder. "I brought those campaign mock-ups you wanted to review." "Of course," Marcus gestured to the chair across from his desk, trying to ignore how Ethan's presence seemed to fill the space with warmth. "How was your weekend? Quiet? Productive?" Ethan sat down, his eyes meeting Marcus's directly. "I kept thinking about what you said, about families who love conditionally." Marcus felt something shift in his chest. This wasn't small talk. This was continuation. "I called my sister yesterday," Ethan continued, voice steady but careful. "Anna, she's the only one who really gets it. She's been with her partner for 8 years, and our parents still introduce Rebecca as Anna's roommate." "That's exhausting," Marcus said, and meant it. "It is, but Anna said something that stuck with me. She said sometimes you have to stop waiting for permission to live your life and start giving yourself permission instead." Before Marcus could respond, his office door swung open. Derek Campbell, the COO, strode in without knocking, his usual power play entrance designed to establish dominance. "Marcus, we need to discuss the Morrison account," Derek announced, then stopped short when he noticed Ethan. "Oh, I didn't realize you were in a meeting." "Just reviewing creative concepts," Marcus said evenly, but he caught the way Derek's eyes narrowed, cataloging details. The coffee cups, the relaxed posture, the fact that Marcus hadn't immediately dismissed Ethan. "Perhaps we could continue this later," Derek suggested, his tone making it clear this wasn't really a suggestion. Ethan stood smoothly. "I'll leave these with you," he said to Marcus, setting the folder on the desk. Their fingers brushed as Marcus reached for it, and this time neither of them pretended it was accidental. After Ethan left, Derek settled into the chair with proprietary ease. "Interesting dynamic there." "Ethan's one of our best strategists," Marcus replied, keeping his voice neutral. "I'm sure he is." Derek's smile didn't reach his eyes. "Speaking of dynamics, the board's been asking about your personal life again. Heinrich mentioned you might be ready to settle down soon." Marcus felt ice form in his stomach. His father had been making those hints for months, pushing him towards suitable marriages that would cement business alliances and produce heirs to carry on the Sterling name. "My personal life isn't board business. Everything about you is board business. Marcus, you know that." Derek leaned forward. "There's a lovely young woman I'd like you to meet, Patricia Whitmore, from the Whitmore publishing family. Beautiful, accomplished, perfect pedigree." The word pedigree made Marcus's skin crawl. "I'm not interested in being set up." "Think about it," Derek said, standing. "Your father's very interested in the Whitmore connection. And Marcus, be careful about appearances. People notice things, especially when those things might affect company morale." After Derek left, Marcus sat in the silence of his office, feeling the walls close in. His phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Coffee after work. There's something I want to show you. E." Marcus stared at the message for a long moment, Derek's warnings echoing in his ears. Then he typed back, "Yes." That evening, Ethan led him through the winding streets of the West Village to a small community center tucked between a bookstore and a vintage clothing shop. The sign read Greenwich Village LGBTQ+ Youth Center. I volunteer here sometimes, Ethan explained as they climbed the steps. Mentor kids who are going through what we went through. Inside, the space buzzed with quiet energy. Teenagers clustered around gaming systems and homework tables. A bulletin board displayed college acceptance letters and scholarship announcements. Pride flags hung alongside academic achievement certificates. This is where I come when I need to remember why authenticity matters, Ethan said, watching a volunteer help a young girl with her math homework. These kids don't have the luxury of hiding. They're figuring out how to be themselves in a world that doesn't always welcome them. Marcus watched a boy, maybe 16, showing another kid something on his phone, both of them laughing. The ease of it, the lack of fear, struck him as both beautiful and heartbreaking. I never had this, Marcus admitted quietly. Neither did I, growing up in Boston. But that's why places like this matter. They're proof that things can be different. They found a quiet corner, and Ethan turned to face him fully. I need you to know something. I'm not interested in being anyone's secret. I've done that before, and it nearly destroyed me. The honesty hit Marcus like cold water. I understand. Do you? Because Derek Campbell visited my desk this afternoon, asked a lot of questions about our working relationship, made some suggestions about maintaining professional boundaries. Anger flared in Marcus's chest. He had no right. He had every right. He's protecting the company's interest. The question is, what are you protecting? Marcus looked around the center, at the kids who'd found the courage he'd never had at their age, at Ethan, who'd already paid the price for hiding and chosen differently. I don't know how to do this, Marcus said finally. I don't know how to be myself and keep everything I've built. Maybe you don't have to choose, Ethan said. Maybe you have to decide what you're actually building. They walked back through the village in comfortable silence, the city lights reflecting off windows like promises. At the subway entrance, Ethan turned to him. I'm not going anywhere, Marcus, but I'm not going to disappear either. Whatever happens next, it happens in the light. Marcus watched him disappear down the stairs, then stood on the sidewalk, feeling the weight of possibility and fear in equal measure. Change was coming whether he chose it or not. The only question was whether he'd meet it standing up. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is let someone see you completely, even when the world tells you to stay hidden. Sometimes love requires becoming visible. The New York Business Journal hit Marcus Sterling's desk with the weight of a bomb. His assistant had placed it carefully beside his morning coffee, the headline visible enough to stop his breath. Sterling Creative CEO spotted with male companion at exclusive charity gala. The accompanying photo showed Marcus and Ethan at last week's Children's Hospital fundraiser, captured in a moment of easy intimacy. Marcus's hand resting on Ethan's back, both of them laughing at something just out of frame. They looked happy. They looked together. They looked like exactly what they were becoming. His phone buzzed immediately. A text from Heinrich Sterling. My office, now. The ride to his father's Upper East Side headquarters felt like traveling backward through time. Every street corner reminded Marcus of childhood lessons about appearances, reputation, the weight of carrying a family name that opened doors and demanded sacrifices. Heinrich Sterling sat behind his mahogany desk like a judge pronouncing sentence. At 72, he remained imposing, silver-haired authority incarnate. The newspaper lay open between them like evidence. Explain this, Heinrich said without preamble. It's a photo from a charity event. Don't be glib with me, Marcus. You know exactly what this looks like. Marcus straightened in his chair, feeling 20 years old again but forcing himself to hold his ground. It looks like two men attending a fundraiser. It looks like the CEO of Sterling Creative has forgotten everything I taught him about discretion. Heinrich leaned forward. Do you have any idea what this could cost us? The Morrison deal alone is worth $50 million. The Whitmores are traditional people. Marcus, conservative values. Since when do personal relationships affect business partnerships? Since always, Heinrich's voice cut like ice. You think your sexuality exists in a vacuum. You think there won't be consequences. Board members asking questions. Clients reconsidering contracts. Investors wondering about your judgment. The word sexuality hung in the air between them. The first time Heinrich had acknowledged what they both knew. No euphemisms. No coded language. Just the truth they'd danced around for years. I'm gay, Dad. The words came out steadier than Marcus felt. I've always been gay. You pretending otherwise doesn't change that. Heinrich's face went stone still. What I know and what the world needs to know are different things. You have responsibilities. To this family, to the company, to everyone who depends on Sterling Creative for their livelihood. What about my responsibility to myself? Yourself? Heinrich laughed, but there was no humor in it. You think this is about you? You think you get to risk everything we've built for some romantic fantasy? Marcus felt anger rising, hot and clean. Ethan isn't a fantasy. He's real. And what we have is real. And I'm tired of pretending otherwise. Then you're a fool. Heinrich stood, moving to the window that overlooked Central Park. I've protected you your entire life, guided every decision, smoothed every path. And now you want to throw it all away for what? For someone who works for you. Do you understand how that looks? It looks like love. The words hung between them, simple and defiant. Heinrich turned back to face him, and for a moment, Marcus saw something that might have been grief in his father's eyes. Love, Heinrich repeated quietly. Your mother and I loved each other, Marcus. But love doesn't pay for private schools or fund political campaigns or build dynasties. Love doesn't protect you when the world decides you are unfit to lead. Maybe the world needs to change. The world doesn't change for individual desires. You adapt to the world, or it destroys you. Heinrich returned to his desk, picking up a manila folder. Derek Campbell has prepared a comprehensive response strategy, public relations firm, carefully managed statements about your bachelor status and focus on career. We can contain this. Marcus felt something cold settle in his stomach. You've been planning this. Derek's been watching. He brought his concerns to me weeks ago. He's protecting the company's interest. He's protecting himself. Derek wants my job, and he's using my personal life as a weapon. Derek understands what's at stake. Heinrich opened the folder, revealing documents, press releases, strategic timelines. There's also the matter of your future. Patricia Whitmore is still very interested in getting to know you better. A partnership there would solve multiple problems. Marcus stood abruptly, the chair scraping against polished floor. You want me to use another human being as a prop in your performance. I want you to grow up and accept reality. Heinrich's voice rose slightly, control cracking. You are not just Marcus Sterling, the individual. You are Marcus Sterling, the heir, the CEO, the face of everything this family has built. That comes with sacrifices. It comes with lies. It comes with responsibility. They stared at each other across the desk, two men locked in a battle that had been building for decades. Marcus felt the weight of expectation pressing down like gravity, trying to pull him back into patterns that had shaped his entire life. I won't do it, he said finally. I won't pretend to be something I'm not, and I won't throw away the first real thing I've found in years. Heinrich's face hardened into familiar disappointment. Then you'll lose everything. The company, the family name, the respect you've spent your life earning, all for someone who'll leave you the moment the pressure gets too intense. Maybe, but at least I'll know who I am when it's over. Marcus turned toward the door, but Heinrich's voice stopped him. If you walk out that door, if you choose this path, don't expect me to clean up the mess. You'll be on your own. Marcus looked back at his father, seeing him clearly for perhaps the first time. A man so afraid of the world's judgment that he'd forgotten how to live in it. I've been on my own for years, Dad. I'm just finally admitting it. The elevator ride down felt like falling and flying at the same time. Marcus pulled out his phone and typed a message to Ethan. Dinner tonight, I have something to tell you. Outside, Manhattan buzzed with its usual energy. Millions of people pursuing their own versions of authentic life. Marcus walked among them, feeling visible and vulnerable and surprisingly unafraid. Sometimes choosing love means choosing courage over comfort. Sometimes authenticity requires risking everything you thought you needed to survive. The emergency board meeting convened at 8 a.m. sharp. The Sterling Creative Conference Room filled with tension thick enough to cut. Marcus Sterling sat at the head of the polished table, facing a tribunal of suits and spreadsheets, each board member armed with copies of the Business Journal article and carefully prepared concerns. Derek Campbell sat to Heinrich's right, playing the role of reluctant messenger while barely containing his satisfaction. He'd orchestrated this moment perfectly, positioning himself as the voice of reason while Marcus appeared reckless and irresponsible. The Morrison account has expressed serious reservations, board member Patricia Chen announced, sliding a printed email across the table. They're questioning whether Sterling Creative aligns with their company values. Marcus scanned the message, recognizing the coded language of corporate discrimination, modern bigotry dressed in business speak, but bigotry nonetheless. And the Whitmore Group has postponed their partnership announcement pending further review, added board member James Harrison, Heinrich's oldest ally. They're concerned about public perception and brand alignment. Heinrich Sterling sat silent at the far end of the table, his expression unreadable. He'd orchestrated this confrontation but would let others deliver the killing blows, maintaining plausible deniability while his son's career crumbled. Gentleman, lady, Derek interjected smoothly, we're not here to judge Marcus's personal choices. We're here to protect Sterling Creative's reputation and financial stability. The solution is straightforward: damage control, public clarification, and strategic repositioning. What does that mean exactly? Marcus asked. Though he already knew, Derek opened his folder with practiced precision. Public statement emphasizing your commitment to the company and your bachelor status. Strategic appearances at high-profile events with appropriate female companions. Gradual transition of day-to-day operations to myself while you focus on external relations and business development. The euphemisms were crystal clear. Deny everything, beard up, step aside. Let Derek run the company while Marcus became a figurehead, neutered and contained. And if I refuse, the room went silent. Derek glanced at Heinrich, receiving an almost imperceptible nod. Then we'd be forced to consider whether your judgment has become compromised to the point where leadership changes are necessary, Derek said carefully. For the good of the company, of course. Marcus felt the trap closing around him, years of careful maneuvering leading to this moment. They'd backed him into a corner where his choices were submit or be destroyed, accept the closet or lose everything he'd built. I need time to consider. Of course, Heinrich said, speaking for the first time. Take the weekend, but Marcus, understand that this isn't just about you anymore. It's about everyone who works here, everyone whose livelihood depends on the decisions made in this room. The meeting dispersed with handshakes and hollow pleasantries, leaving Marcus alone with the weight of an impossible choice. He walked to his office in a daze, finding Ethan waiting with coffee and concern written across his face. I heard about the board meeting, Ethan said quietly. The whole building's buzzing. Marcus sank into his chair, suddenly exhausted. They want me to choose. The company or you, the closet or unemployment. Ethan set down the coffee and moved around the desk, his presence both comfort and complication. What are you going to do? I don't know. Marcus looked up at him, seeing understanding and something that might have been resignation in those green eyes. They're not wrong about the consequences. We could lose everything. The word hung between them, loaded with possibility and fear. Marcus realized he'd been assuming Ethan would stay, would fight, would choose to weather whatever storm came next. But why should he? I'm sorry, Marcus said, I shouldn't assume you want to be part of this mess. Ethan was quiet for a long moment, studying Marcus's face. Then he reached into his jacket and pulled out a folded piece of paper. My resignation letter, he said simply. I typed it this morning. Marcus felt his heart stop. Ethan, I'm not finished. Ethan set the letter on the desk but didn't let go of it. I wrote this because I thought it might make your choice easier. Remove the complication, eliminate the scandal, let you keep what you've built. That's very noble of you. It's not noble, it's cowardly. Ethan picked up the letter and tore it in half. I spent too many years making myself smaller to make other people comfortable. I won't do it anymore. Not even for you. Marcus stared at the torn paper, feeling something shift inside his chest. You want to know what I think you should do? Ethan continued. I think you should call a press conference. I think you should tell the truth about who you are and who you love and let the chips fall where they may. That's insane. We'd be destroyed. Maybe, or maybe we'd be free. Ethan leaned against the desk, close enough that Marcus could smell his cologne, could see the determination in his eyes. You know what I learned at that youth center? Those kids aren't successful because they're hiding. They're successful because they refuse to be ashamed. They're teenagers. They don't have companies to run, employees to protect. They have families who might disown them, schools that might reject them, futures that could be destroyed by other people's hatred. But they show up anyway, because the alternative is living a lie. Marcus felt the truth of it, sharp and undeniable. He thought about the boy at the center, laughing with his friend without fear, about his sister Anna, choosing love over parental approval, about Ethan, who'd already paid the price for hiding and refused to do it again. His phone rang, interrupting the moment. Heinrich Sterling's name appeared on the screen. Don't answer it, Ethan said softly. Marcus looked at the phone, then at Ethan, then at the view of Manhattan spreading out below his windows. Somewhere in that city were people living authentically despite the costs, building lives based on truth instead of strategy. He let the call go to voicemail. What happens next, he asked. We figure it out together, Ethan said. We build something new, something that doesn't require us to hide who we are. Marcus stood up, moving to the window. The city looked different from this angle, full of possibility instead of pressure. It won't be easy. Nothing worthwhile ever is. Marcus turned back to Ethan, seeing his future reflected in those green eyes. Not the future his father had planned, not the safe path Derek had mapped out, but something real and uncertain and entirely his own. Okay, but, he said simply, let's do it. Sometimes the most important business decision you can make is choosing authenticity over profit. Sometimes the greatest leadership requires leaving behind everything you thought you needed to lead. 6 months later, Marcus Sterling stood in a converted warehouse in Brooklyn, watching volunteers hang rainbow banners beside Sterling Creative's new logo. The space hummed with energy that felt different from their old Manhattan headquarters. Warmer, more honest, more alive. The Times reporter will be here in an hour, Anna Sterling called from across the room. Her partner Rebecca beside her carrying boxes of press kits. Marcus's sister had become his closest ally after everything imploded, helping him navigate both the legal battles and the emotional aftermath of choosing authenticity over inheritance. The fallout had been swift and brutal. Heinrich Sterling had made good on his threats, using every connection and legal maneuver to force Marcus out of the company he'd built. Derek Campbell now sat in that corner office, running Sterling Creative according to the same old playbook of fear and conformity. But something unexpected had happened in the wreckage. Ethan had been right about those kids at the youth center. When you stop being ashamed, other people stop being afraid of you. 3 of Sterling Creative's biggest clients had followed Marcus to his new agency, drawn by his reputation for innovative campaigns and authentic leadership. 2 had explicitly cited his courage in coming out as a factor in their decision. The business press had initially been skeptical, but 6 months of strong growth and award-winning work had silenced most critics. How are you feeling? Ethan asked. appearing at Marcus's elbow with his usual perfect timing. They'd moved in together 4 months ago, finding a brownstone in Park Slope that felt like home in ways Marcus had never experienced. Nervous, excited, terrified, Marcus smiled, reaching for Ethan's hand without thinking. The gesture that had once felt dangerous now felt natural. Utah, proud of you, proud of us, proud of what we've built. The new agency had become something neither of them had anticipated. Beyond the commercial success, it had evolved into a beacon for LGBTQ+ professionals in the advertising industry. They'd instituted mentorship programs, inclusive hiring practices, and pro bono work for organizations serving marginalized communities. Sterling Walker Creative had been Ethan's idea, the combined name symbolizing their partnership in both business and life. Marcus had hesitated initially, worried about the professional implications of such an obvious declaration, but the market had responded with enthusiasm rather than rejection. 5 minutes until the ribbon cutting, Anna announced, and Marcus felt his stomach flutter with familiar pre-presentation nerves. The crowd gathering outside included former colleagues who'd followed them to the new agency, clients who'd become champions of their work, and members of the LGBTQ+ business community who saw their success as validation of their own possibilities. Heinrich Sterling is not among them. Father and son hadn't spoken since that confrontation in the Upper East Side office. Marcus had grieved the relationship, working through the pain with a therapist who specialized in family rejection and chosen family formation. The wound still ached sometimes, but it no longer controlled his decisions. "Ready?" Ethan asked, offering his arm. They walked outside together, facing cameras and microphones with the ease that came from no longer having anything to hide. The Times reporter asked predictable questions about business strategy and market positioning, but the final question cut deeper. "Do you have any regrets about the path you chose?" Marcus considered the question seriously, looking out at the crowd of supporters, at his sister beaming from the front row, at Ethan beside him, radiating quiet strength. "I regret that it took me so long to find the courage," he said finally. "I regret the years I spent hiding from myself and the people I love, but I don't regret choosing authenticity over approval. I don't regret building something that allows other people to be themselves completely." After the ceremony, as the crowd mingled in the warehouse space that would house their growing team, Marcus found a quiet moment with Jake Rodriguez, Ethan's best friend who'd become Marcus's friend too. Jake had helped design the office space, incorporating elements that celebrated diversity without tokenism. "You know what's funny," Jake said, watching Ethan explain their community outreach programs to a group of young professionals. "He was so scared when he first met you. Convinced you'd break his heart like the last guy. What changed his mind? You did, when you chose him over everything else you thought you needed." Jake grinned. "Plus, he saw how you looked at him that first night at Murphy's, like he was the answer to a question you'd been afraid to ask." Marcus laughed, feeling lighter than he had in years. Maybe he was. As the evening wound down and the last guests departed, Marcus and Ethan found themselves alone in the space they'd created together. The walls displayed awards, client testimonials, and photos from their various community partnerships. It looked like success, but it felt like home. "So what's next?" Ethan asked, settling onto the couch they'd placed in what would become their shared office. "Expansion, the San Francisco opportunity, maybe London if the international clients keep growing." Marcus joined him on the couch, their shoulders touching in comfortable intimacy. "But first, there's something I want to ask you." Oh, Ethan raised an eyebrow. "That sounds ominous." Marcus reached into his jacket pocket, his heart racing with the same nervous energy he'd felt before every major presentation. But this wasn't about closing a deal or winning an account. This was about choosing love, publicly and permanently, in front of everyone who mattered. "Ethan Walker," he said, dropping to one knee beside the couch. "Will you marry me?" The ring caught the warehouse lighting, sparkling like the crystal fragments that had started everything that night at Murphy's bar. But this wasn't about something breaking. This was about building something new from the pieces of who they'd been brave enough to become. Ethan's answer came with tears and laughter and a kiss that tasted like possibility. 6 months later, they were married in the same warehouse, surrounded by chosen family and clients who'd become friends and kids from the youth center who'd help them remember why authenticity mattered. Heinrich Sterling didn't attend, but his absence felt less like abandonment and more like freedom. Anna served as Marcus's best woman, Rebecca beside her as Ethan's maid of honor. Jake walked them both down the aisle to an altar decorated with flowers and pride flags and photos of LGBTQ+ pioneers who'd paved the way for moments like this. During the reception, as Marcus watched his husband dance with teenagers from their mentorship program, he realized something profound. He hadn't lost a family by choosing love. He'd found one. Sometimes the greatest success comes from having the courage to redefine what success means. Sometimes building an empire requires first building an authentic life. Sometimes the most important merger is the one between who you are and who you're brave enough to become. What would you be willing to risk for the chance to live as your true self? Share your thoughts below and follow Heart Stories for more journeys of love, courage, and finding your authentic path.